Okay, I will call the meeting to order. And as I indicated before we formally started, I will keep my video off because I have to move my computer closer to me and it presents an odd photo so that people can hear me. So I will call the meeting to order, welcome everyone, and then I will take roll. So in case anyone, although I don't see anyone at this time, is listening to the meeting by phone so that they would understand who's here. I'm here, Trustee Avgaris. I see him nodding, so he's here.
I'm here.
Thank you. Trustee Decker?
Yes, I'm here.
Trustee Lorenzen wasn't able to be at her computer, so she's not here. Trustee McDonald? I see that she's here, but I don't see that she's responding. So I'm going to assume she's here, but her mic is on mute. Trustee Mercer? And Trustee Mercer is also on mute.
I'm here, but.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Mercer. Trustee Smith? See him saying he's here. Trustee Service?
I'm here.
Thanks.
I'm here.
Thank you. Trustee Vogel? I haven't seen that she's on yet.
Trustee Vogel has not joined yet.
Okay. And Trustee Wake?
I'm here.
Great. So now if we can stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Dr. Watson, would you mind saying it for us so that we're not all talking over each other?
You bet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Now we're on to agenda item number 3, which is to review, revise, and approve the agenda. Are there any requests from any trustees to modify the order in which we will be discussing items during the meeting, or to otherwise revise the agenda? And please either raise your virtual hand or your real hand. I'm not seeing any hands being raised.
Chair Holland, I also wanted to identify in the roll call that Trustee Oldperson is also present at the meeting.
Oh, sorry, Trustee Oldperson.
Yep, we just had a little typo, but she is present here.
Yes, and I was reading from the agenda. Usually I read from the list of people. So I apologize, Trustee Oldperson, for the oversight. Thank you so much for catching that, Hatton. So now we move on to item number 4, which is to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees regular meeting from May 12th, 2020, which are found beginning on page 4. Does anyone have any requests for any modifications to those minutes? Please raise your hand in some fashion. I'm scrolling down just to make sure. Not seeing any hands being raised physically or virtually. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th board meeting? And here I've got, let me just see. Trustee Wake has moved to approve the minutes, seconded by Trustee Oldperson. All those in favor, please type in yes or Y, so we have a record of your vote. And let me scroll through chat. It is unanimous as to all trustees present. And so then we move on to 4B, which is the regular meeting from May 26, 2020. Are there any modifications that anyone would like to request for those minutes? Let me just scroll down to see if any hands are raised. Seeing none, then is there a motion to approve? And let me, looks like. And Trustee Wake has moved to approve the minutes of May 26, seconded by Trustee Oldperson. All those in favor, please type in yes or Y or a yes in the chat. And that allows me to count those who are voting. And it appears that it is unanimous as to all trustees present. So now we move on to public comment regarding non-agenda items. This is the part of the meeting where the public can provide public comment for the board to listen to on items that we will not be discussing tonight. And so we ask three things. One, if you can state your first and last name and spell your either first or last name if it has an unusual spelling. Two, if you're with an organization, identify the organization. And three, limit your comments to 3 minutes. So if anyone wants to make public comment, either raise your hand or unmute yourself, and Hatton will help me look to see if anyone's doing that. And I just went through the 28 participants, and I currently do not see any hands raised. So we'll move on to correspondence, and there was no written public comment received since the last meeting. And so now we turn it over to you, Dr. Watsons, for announcements from the superintendent.
All right, thank you, Chair Holland, and thank you, trustees. I have a few extra items this evening, so I apologize. It might be just slightly longer than in my typical superintendent report, but I do want to take a minute for a couple of special things. So the first item that I would like to discuss, I'm going to share my screen if I can. Hopefully I won't crash the Zoom meeting in the process. I'm going to draw everyone's attention to our website for just a minute. I think it is appropriate and to discuss briefly, the situations that exist outside of our schools right now, and the public dissent and issues around race and equity. I do want everyone to understand that these are difficult times, not only for our persons of color, but also just lots of folks in our communities that are hurting and are frustrated and angry. And we as a school district recognize that. We feel like it's our responsibility to listen and learn from these experiences and make sure that that we're doing everything we can within our district to address this issue. So I actually sent this out last week, and then we decided to put it on our website as well. But one of the things that I just wanted to call the board's attention to is a particular policy that actually has been around for a long time. It's nothing new, but there's been modifications to it over the years. But basically, the reason that I wanted to address this is I think it really clearly outlines our commitment to equity. And when I say equity, what I'm discussing is really equal access of opportunities for students, regardless of their race or skin color or national origin or a variety of different things that are in this list. So when you see this, I just want you to consider that, we have a lot of great educational programs in our district. And what's important for us as educators, and something we don't ever want to forget, is that it's our jobs to make sure that there's equal access for all students, regardless of anything that might be considered a barrier or might be considered less than. It's really not in our eyes. So our job is to make sure that we do have equity in our schools and we have equal access to these rich opportunities. And to that end, I just want to be clear that we're committed to this. Not only is it board policy, but to be honest with you, as an educator, this is something that all of us strive to do, and what we work towards is making sure that we're providing equal access to students, regardless of their circumstances or particular differences. And what's really amazing to me is that the commitment goes beyond this. This is a great goal to strive for. I don't think we're there yet, but we really are trying to work towards this equity issue. And we know that, issues of discrimination really are a barrier for our students. They're a barrier to accessing these educational opportunities. And so what our job is as leaders and as educators is to really examine what those barriers are and do our best to remove those barriers through processes or procedures or acknowledgement. It's important to me that we understand the barriers. So not only are we committed to equity, but we're committed to this notion of learning and listening, continuing on that continual learning path. As an educator, I believe I've never stopped learning, and I continue to be that listener and learn what I can do differently and how my actions can be perceived differently, or what I need to do to change that perception. So I think all of us are on that same path in our district. We're all on that learning and listening path and trying to understand what we can do to make the situation better for all of our students with regards to equity. And then the last thing I would just say on that, as we're learning and listening, we're also bettering ourselves through training. And we had one opportunity this last year before we went into COVID to have a really rich training around this issue. It was a training that was led by, quite frankly, led by the Indiana department. They were the impetus behind getting the training started. And then they collaborated with University of Montana, and there was 90 educators in attendance for this after school training. And it was really all about examining our own perceptions of equity and what are things that we are doing that are getting in the way of that equity for all students. So it was a great training. My hope